Imagine you wake up one day and there's no electricity, no internet, no money, no job, no school, nothing familiar at all. It's not that the power went out in your city, and you're not even in your own home, because you've magically been transported to the Stone Age. So, what now? Of course, your first reaction would be shock. But let's just say, yes, you'll manage to survive, Flintstones style. First, take a look around. This is the cave where you live with your family. Don't worry, you have your own sleeping spot covered with an animal hide. Or you might have ended up in a primitive hut held up by mammoth tusks and ribs and covered with animal hides to keep the rain out. Now your morning doesn't start with a quick trip to the bathroom to brush your teeth, or with a cup of hot coffee. And if you're wondering where Stone Age people relieve themselves, get ready for the answer: anywhere outside. So, it's time to step out and explore our new ancient world. But don't forget to get dressed. There are no fashionable, comfortable clothes from a store. Back then, people used the hides of the animals they killed to make simple, rough loincloths. To make a hide more flexible, they had to chew it. Let's hope you already have an outfit so you won't have to strain your jaws. Later, people began smoking hides so they'd last longer and started making tunics. What about footwear? Scientists believe it appeared around 40,000 years ago. Take a small piece of hide and wrap it around your foot. Stuff a little hay underneath for a sole, and voila! One shoe is ready. Make another one, and let's go. Don't be afraid. You won't run into a giant mammoth right outside your shelter. Ancient people were clever and learned the habits of animals, since that was the only way to survive in the wild. They chose caves and built huts in the safest spots they could find. Now, go down to the river and wash up. Curious what you might look like in the Stone Age? Take a look at your reflection. See, you're not all that different from your modern self. Just a mess on your head, a few centimeters shorter, a wider jaw, and, thanks to such a harsh life, well, just look at those muscles. That's what happens when you spend your whole life running and fighting wild animals on the hunt. Yes, there will be a hunt today. Just be patient. But first, you need breakfast. Luckily, we've got leftovers from yesterday's dinner: eggs, fruit, and berries. Alas, there's no gas stove to cook the eggs. Want to try cooking them over a fire? Here, I'll help. Find 2 small but sturdy dry wooden sticks and rub them together hard. And, again, be patient. And there's the fire. Well done. Now you can cook the eggs, using a stone instead of a frying pan. Knives and forks haven't been invented yet. See that shell attached to a little stick? That's your spoon. All right, the wild won't wait. Luckily, the Ice Age ended long ago, so it's warm outside and there's plenty of greenery. That's good, because you need to gather all kinds of edible plants, nuts, fruit, and wild grains. Stone Age folks learned to grow crops and domesticate animals only around 10,000 BC. At last, they no longer had to keep wandering in search of a better place to hunt. Look, grapes. Let's swipe a few. But how do you harvest grains, you ask? Let me introduce you to a Stone Age tool. By the way, the Stone Age got its name from the tools people made. Out of wood. No. Out of stone. Let me help. Here's an S-shaped sickle that cuts the stalks. A couple of swings, and it's all gathered. Back at camp, now that the shock of the time travel has worn off, you notice there are a few more huts nearby. These are your neighbors, Betty and Barney. Stone Age people usually banded together in groups of 20 to 50 and helped one another survive. Okay, grapes and other fruit can be eaten raw, but what about grain? To separate the grain from the husk, take a stone bowl and a small grinding stone and crush your harvest. Mix the ground grain with water and you'll get a porridge. Fry it on the hot stones, just like you did the eggs, and your first flatbread is ready. Yeah, it doesn't taste great, but remember, about 15,000 years separate you from your favorite bakery. It's already getting dark. Gather up. We're heading out to hunt. I've got good news for you. You won't have to hunt alone. Stone Age people survived because they did almost everything together. So, call your neighbors and set off. How would you feel living in such harsh conditions? Share your thoughts in the comments. Wait, how did people communicate back then? At the very beginning of the Stone Age, they used different sounds and gestures to express fear, joy, or pain, and to warn of danger. Later, they learned to make sounds using their teeth, tongue, and throat. And that's how speech came about, which made life and communication so much easier. We no longer have any idea exactly how they spoke back then, since no records survived, not even on a cassette tape. What's a cassette tape? That's an even older technology. So, you and your companions need to bring along special tools for the hunt. The first and most primitive tools for taking down a beast were long, sharpened wooden sticks and a big stone. But over time, prehistoric people invented the spear. Naturally, the tip wasn't metal, it was far too early for that. Instead, they used small sharpened stones, or bone, attached to the sticks. This was a very important invention because it made hunting less dangerous and improved the odds of survival. You no longer had to get too close to the animals, and you could hunt all sorts of prey. As darkness falls, your hunting party pushes deeper into the wild. You're looking for large herbivores, elephants, mammoths, giant bison, reindeer, or ordinary deer. They'll give you not only a hearty dinner but also fur, bones, antlers, and hide, all essential around the home. Back then, there were two main hunting techniques. The first took more time but was safer. You had to dig a huge pit near a spot where animals came to drink. The pit became a trap. But to dig without a shovel, you'll need a digging stick, a wooden stick with a horn on the end, or a large hand axe, an oblong stone or bone. All right, the pit is ready. Now hide and wait patiently. The other technique involved the group chasing an animal and trying to drive it into mud and waterways it couldn't escape from. Did you see that? A deer. Run faster, everyone, and try to drive it into the swamp. It got away. Not every hunt ends the way you'd hoped, but the tribe still has to eat. Let's move on to fishing. Don't worry. You won't have to catch fish with your bare hands. You've got a fishing net and a harpoon. Nets were made from bark and grass. The oldest net archaeologists have found dates back to 8,300 BC. A harpoon, made from antler, usually had a rope tied to it so you could haul in your catch. Tools like these were used mainly to land big fish, such as tuna. So cast your net into the river, but don't forget to ask your companions whether this is a good fishing spot. Now, you wait. Oh, look, a fish. Pull with all your might, everyone. Help him out. Me, I'm just filming. There, no one's going hungry today. Carry your catch back to camp and rest. Others will take care of it now. I know what you're thinking. All work and no play. And you're right. Life in the Stone Age wasn't easy. And yet people still found ways to have fun. Alas, no amusement parks or movies. But you can play a flute carved from the bone of a bird or a mammoth. You can also try your hand at crafts, making necklaces and bracelets out of tusks, bones, and shells. There are plenty of creative options. Paint something on your body with ochre, a kind of red clay, or carve an image on a cave wall. Come up with something wild to leave archaeologists scratching their heads. Smell that? Dinner's ready. Go eat. You've earned it. And that other smell? That's someone who's already had their supper. If you learned something new today, like this video and share it with your friends. And here are some other cool videos you might enjoy. Just tap left or right.